The air in the auction house was thick and smelly. Jin-Ho tried not to breathe too deeply as he walked among the alien traders. He didn't want to be here, but as a human diplomat, he sometimes had to go to places he didn't like. "Remember, we're just watching," said Ta, his assistant. "The Earth Council doesn't want us buying any living beings." Jin-Ho nodded. The big room was full of aliens from all over the galaxy. Some had scales, some had fur, and some didn't look like anything Jin-Ho had ever seen before. They all came to buy and sell workers, slaves, really, even if the Galactic Concord used nicer words for it. On raised platforms around the room stood the beings for sale. Jin-Ho felt sick looking at them. Most stood tall, showing off their strength or skills to get a better price. But in the far corner, on the smallest platform, something caught Jin-Ho's eye. A small alien girl stood with her head down. She had light blue skin that seemed to shimmer slightly even under the harsh lights. Her most striking feature was her wings, or what should have been wings. The delicate membranes hung torn and wrinkled from thin bone structures on her back. "What species is that?" Jin-Ho asked a nearby trader. The pig-like alien snorted. "Lyridi. Not worth your time. That one's broken." Jin-Ho moved closer to the small platform. The girl didn't look up when he approached. Her wings twitched slightly, and Jin-Ho could see they were trying to fold tighter against her back, as if to hide. "Hello," he said softly. She flinched but didn't speak. A loud voice boomed through the auction house. "Next for sale, Lot 42, a female Lyridi. Age equivalent to your Earth teenager. Previous experience in household work." The auctioneer, a tall four-armed alien, waved dismissively at the girl. Some damage to flight membranes, but still useful for simple tasks. Starting bid at 100 credits. The room was silent. No one raised a hand or tentacle to bid. "Come now," the auctioneer said. "Surely she's worth something to someone. Lyridi have excellent senses. 80 credits." More silence. The girl seemed to shrink even smaller. 50 credits. Anyone? Jin-Ho felt a strange tightness in his chest. He looked at the girl again. Though her head was bowed, he could see her face now. Her large eyes were dull, but something about them made Jin-Ho think they hadn't always been that way. "Last call. 25 credits, or she goes to the processing center." Jin-Ho knew what that meant. Beings that couldn't be sold were often processed for research or worse. 100 credits, Jin-Ho said suddenly. His voice rang out clearly in the quiet room. Ta grabbed his arm. "What are you doing?" he whispered. "The council." "I know what the council said," Jin-Ho answered quietly. "This is personal. I'll pay for my own account." The auctioneer looked surprised. "We have a bid from the human. 100 credits from the Earth diplomat. Any other bids?" No one spoke. The other buyers seemed amused that a human would waste money on a broken alien. "Sold. To the human diplomat for 100 credits. As Jin-Ho completed the payment, the girl was led off the platform by a handler. Up close, Jin-Ho could see how thin she was. Her clothes were little more than rags, and she trembled slightly. "What's your name?" Jin-Ho asked gently. For the first time, she looked up. Her eyes were solid purple with no visible pupils, but somehow Jin-Ho could tell she was searching his face. "Nari," she whispered, her voice like a soft breeze. "This one is called Nari." Jin-Ho smiled. "Hello, Nari. I'm Jin-Ho. You're coming with me now." Nari lowered her head again. "This one will serve well, new master." "No," Jin-Ho said, surprising himself with the firmness in his voice. "Not master. Just Jin-Ho." As they walked out of the auction house, Jin-Ho felt every eye on them. Humans didn't buy slaves. Everyone knew that. He didn't know exactly what he'd just done or why, but looking at the small broken-winged girl beside him, he knew it was right. The doors of Jin-Ho's ship closed with a soft hiss. Nari jumped at the sound, her damaged wings fluttering weakly. She stood stiffly in the entrance, afraid to move without being told. "Welcome to the Hope Star," Jin-Ho said. "This will be your home for now." Nari blinked her purple eyes. "Home? This one does not understand." Jin-Ho smiled kindly. "You'll have your own room. Food, clean clothes, and no one will hurt you here." A tall woman with short black hair walked up to them. She wore a white medical uniform with a blue stripe. Her eyes widened when she saw Nari. "Jin-Ho, what have you done?" she asked. "Ha-won, this is Nari," Jin-Ho explained. "She needed help." Ha-won sighed. "The council will not like this." "I didn't use council money," Jin-Ho said. "My choice, my problem." Ha-won looked at Nari more closely. "She needs medical care. Those wings. Can you help her?" Jin-Ho asked. "I can try. Come, little one." Nari didn't move. She looked at Jin-Ho with fear. "Master has not given permission." Jin-Ho frowned. "I'm not your master, Nari. And you don't need my permission. You can go with Ha-won. She's our doctor. She will help you feel better." Nari still looked confused, but followed Ha-won to the medical bay. The room was clean and bright, with strange machines Nari had never seen. She stood very still as Ha-won examined her. "How did your wings get damaged?" Ha-won asked gently. Nari's voice was quiet. "Born wrong. Wings never grew right. Made Nari useless." Ha-won touched one of the thin wing bones carefully. "Did it hurt?" "Yes, but hurt worse when masters try to fix." Ha-won's face showed anger, but her hand stayed gentle. "No one will hurt you that way again." Later, Jin-Ho sat with Nari in a small room that would be hers. It had a soft bed, much nicer than anything she had ever slept on. There were colorful pictures on the walls and a window showing the stars outside. "Ha-won says you're underweight," Jin-Ho said. "We need to find what foods work best for you." Nari sat with her hands folded, looking down. "This one eats little, takes little space, causes no trouble." Jin-Ho sighed. "Nari, look at me." Slowly, she raised her head. "I did not buy you to be a servant. I don't believe in owning people. I saw someone who needed help, and I wanted to help." "Why?" Nari asked, genuine confusion in her voice. "This one is broken. No use." "You're not broken," Jin-Ho said firmly. "You're different, that's all. Every being has value." Nari looked away. Other masters said nice things too. At first, the pain in her voice told Jin-Ho more than words could. Whatever had happened to her before, it would take time to heal. "I understand why you don't trust me," Jin-Ho said. "Trust has to be earned. I will show you, not just tell you." He stood up. "Rest now. Tomorrow, Ha-won wants to do some tests. She thinks human medicine might help your wings." Nari's eyes widened. "Fix wings. Maybe. Not completely, but maybe make them better." For the first time, Jin-Ho saw something like hope flicker across Nari's face. It disappeared quickly, but he had seen it. After Jin-Ho left, Nari sat on the edge of the bed. She was afraid to believe anything good could happen. Every time she had hoped before, things got worse. She touched the soft blanket, felt the clean air. No one had hit her or yelled at her since she arrived. Maybe this human was different. Maybe. But as Nari finally lay down on the bed, she kept her damaged wings tight against her back, ready to protect herself when the kindness ended. Because it always ended. She didn't know that Jin-Ho stood outside her door, wondering how to help someone who had never known true kindness see her own worth. 3 weeks passed on the Hope Star. Every day, Nari waited for the kindness to end. She woke up early and tried to clean, but the ship's robots did most of that work. She offered to help in the kitchen, but the cook smiled and said they had enough help. "You don't need to work to earn your place here," Jin-Ho told her many times. But Nari didn't understand. In her world, you only had value if you were useful. Ha-won worked with Nari every day. She put special medicine on Nari's wings and used a machine that sent warm light into the damaged parts. The wing membranes are responding to treatment. Ha-Wan told Jin-Ho one day when they thought Nari couldn't hear. They won't ever be strong enough for flight, but the pain should reduce. Nari didn't care about flying. She had never flown, but less pain would be nice. One morning, Jin-Ho found Nari in the ship's viewing room. She stood very still by the big window, looking out at the stars. "Do you like space?" Jin-Ho asked. Nari jumped, then quickly bowed her head. "This one is sorry. Should not be here without work." Jin-Ho sat down on a bench nearby. "This room is for everyone. You can come here anytime." Slowly, Nari looked up at the stars again. Never saw stars before. Only pictures. "We're heading to a human colony called Harmony," Jin-Ho said. "It has 3 moons. Very beautiful at night." For a moment, they sat in comfortable silence. "Nari," Jin-Ho said finally, "what can you tell me about your species?" "The Luridi." Nari's wings twitched. "Luridi fly. Live in high places. Hunt with sound and smell." She touched her nose. "Can smell many things others cannot." "What kinds of things?" "Changes in air, different metals, sickness in plants and animals." She looked down. "This one can still do that. Not broken in that way." Jin-Ho smiled. "That's amazing." The ship's alarm suddenly blared. Red lights flashed in the hallway. "Warning," said the ship's computer voice. "Unknown system failure in engine section B." Jin-Ho's communicator beeped. "Sir," said the engineer's voice, "sensors show everything normal, but something's wrong. The engine sounds different." Jin-Ho stood up. "I'm coming down." Nari followed Jin-Ho without being asked. When they reached the engine room, several crew members were checking systems. "All readings are normal," said Jun, the chief engineer. "But listen." The engine made a soft whining sound. Nari's nose twitched. Her wings spread slightly. "Not right," she whispered. Jin-Ho turned to her. "What's not right?" "Nari." "The air smells wrong. Like burning metal, but not hot." She pointed to a panel on the wall. "From there." Jun looked doubtful, but opened the panel. Behind it, a small pipe had a tiny crack. Clear gas leaked out. "Coolant leak." Jun shouted. "This could have caused an explosion. But how did you?" The sensors didn't pick it up. "This gas has no smell to humans," Nari said quietly. "To Luridi, smells like sweet rot." The crew stared at her with new respect. "You just saved this ship," Jin-Ho said. "Maybe all our lives." Nari's eyes widened. "Truly, truly," Jin-Ho said firmly. That night, for the first time, Nari sat with the crew at dinner. No one told her to. She just decided to join them. She still didn't talk much, but she listened. And when Jin-Ho smiled at her across the table, Nari did something new. She smiled back. It was small, just a tiny lift of her lips. But to Jin-Ho, it was as bright as all the stars outside. The ship landed smoothly on Harmony. Through the window, Nari saw green hills, tall buildings, and water that sparkled in the sunlight. It was the most beautiful place she had ever seen. "Welcome to my home," Jin-Ho said, standing beside her. Nari's wings fluttered nervously. "Many people here." "Yes, but they're friendly. No one will hurt you." Nari wasn't sure she believed that, but she had learned that Jin-Ho didn't lie. They walked down the ship's ramp together. The air was warm and smelled of flowers and water. Nari's sensitive nose picked up hundreds of new scents. A small human with long black hair ran toward them. "Father, you're back." Jin-Ho caught the child in a hug. "My son, I missed you so much." My son looked about 8 years old in human terms. When she noticed Nari, her eyes grew wide. "Who are you?" My son asked, staring at Nari's blue skin and tattered wings. Nari looked down, waiting for the child to say something mean. "This is Nari," Jin-Ho explained. She'll be staying with us for a while. My son stepped closer. Your skin is so pretty. It sparkles in the light. Nari blinked in surprise. No one had ever called her pretty before. Can I touch your wing? My son asked. I'll be super careful. Nari looked at Jin-Ho, not sure what to do. It's your choice, Jin-Ho said gently. You can say no. Nari thought for a moment, then slowly extended one damaged wing. My son touched it very softly with one finger. It feels like paper but warm, my son said with wonder. Does it hurt? Not much now, Nari said. Had one helped? My son smiled. That's good. Do you want to see my room? I have toys from 5 planets. Before Nari could answer, my son grabbed her hand and pulled her toward a large house near the landing area. Nari looked back at Jin-Ho, who nodded encouragingly. Jin-Ho's home was spacious and full of light. Plants grew in every room, some in pots and some in special glass cases. My wife loved plants, Jin-Ho explained when he saw Nari looking at them. She died 3 years ago, but we keep her garden growing. I'm sorry, Nari said, remembering the human phrase one had taught her. That night after dinner, Nari couldn't sleep. Everything was too new. She walked quietly through the house and found a room full of plants. Moonlight streamed through the glass roof, making the leaves glow silver. One plant caught her eye. Its leaves were drooping, and the soil looked dry. Without thinking, Nari touched it. Her nose detected something wrong in the roots. Too much water before, now too dry, she murmured. Can you help it? Nari turned. Jin-Ho stood in the doorway. Maybe, Nari said. Luridi can smell what plants need. Jin-Ho walked over. My wife's favorite star orchid. It's been dying slowly since she left. I don't know how to save it. Nari gently lifted the pot. Needs new soil, less water, more air for roots. Jin-Ho showed her where the gardening supplies were kept. Together, they repotted the orchid. Nari worked carefully, her damaged wings occasionally helping to fan fresh air over the roots. There, she said when they finished, should grow better now. Jin-Ho looked at her with new understanding. You have a gift with plants. Nari shook her head. Just smell what they need. Not everyone can do that, Jin-Ho said. Would you like to help with the other plants too? For the first time, Nari felt truly useful, not as a servant, but as someone with a skill that mattered. Yes, she said, I would like that. The next morning, my son found Nari in the garden room, gently checking each plant. Wow, my son said, the star orchid looks better already. Nari smiled, her second real smile since coming to live with humans. It just needed someone to listen to what it was saying. Plants can talk. My son asked with big eyes. In their way, Nari said. You just need to know how to hear them. 2 months passed. Nari's wings looked better, though they still couldn't support flight. The garden room bloomed with healthy plants. Nari had even started mixing earth plants with techniques she remembered from her home world. One morning, Jin-Ho came to the garden room looking worried. Nari, we need to talk, he said. Nari set down her watering can. She could smell Jin-Ho's stress. What's wrong? Luridi officials are coming to Harmony. A diplomatic meeting. Nari's wings pulled tight against her back, a sign of fear Jin-Ho now recognized. My people, here. Her voice was barely a whisper. Jin-Ho nodded. 5 high-ranking Luridi. They want to discuss trade agreements. They can't see me, Nari said quickly. If they know you have a broken Luridi, they will be angry. Jin-Ho frowned. You're not broken. And this is your home now. You don't have to hide. But Nari was shaking. Please. You don't understand. In Luridi society, the damaged are removed. It's shameful to keep us alive. That's terrible, Jin-Ho said. It's our way, Nari replied. Has been for thousands of years. That afternoon, a sleek silver ship landed at the colony's main port. 5 tall Lyridi stepped out. Unlike Nari, they had perfect wings that shimmered with colors. They walked with pride, their heads held high. Jinho met them at the government building. "Welcome to Harmony. I am Diplomat Jinho." The tallest Lyridi bowed slightly. "I am High Commander Dak. We are pleased to visit your colony." The meeting went well at first. They discussed trade routes and shared resources. Then, during a break, one of the Lyridi officials walked to the window and looked out at the city. "Your colony is very green," he said. "Many plants." Jinho nodded. "We believe in living with nature, not against it." The Lyridi turned. "Our sensors detected an unusual life form here, a Lyridi biosignature, but incorrect." Jinho's heart beat faster. They knew about Nari. "I don't know what you mean," he said carefully. High Commander Dak stepped forward. "Do not play games, human. You have a defective Lyridi here. Our scans show it." "Her name is Nari," Jinho said, dropping all pretense. "And she is under my protection." The room grew tense. The Lyridi officials looked angry. "This is an insult," Dak said. "A damaged Lyridi should not exist. It brings shame to show such weakness." "She is not weak," Jinho argued. "She has gifts your people never recognized." Dak's wings flared wide, a show of dominance. "Return the defective to us for proper processing, or there will be no trade agreement." Jinho stood firm. "Nari is not property to return. She is a person with rights on this colony." The meeting ended badly. The Lyridi officials left without signing any agreements. That night, Nari hid in her room. "I'm causing trouble," she told Jinho when he came to check on her. "Maybe I should go with them." "Never," Jinho said. "What they want to do is wrong." Nari looked out her window at the Lyridi ship glowing in the distance. "They won't give up." Lyridi hate imperfection more than anything. Unknown to Jinho and Nari, inside their ship, the Lyridi were discussing more than trade. "This colony is poorly defended," said one official, "and rich in resources." Dak nodded. "Yes, and now we have an excuse for conflict. They harbor a defective." "What shall we report to the High Council?" asked another. Dak's eyes narrowed. That this colony would be a perfect first step into human territory, and that they have insulted our ways by keeping one of our discarded ones. Outside their ship, in the shadows, my son had followed her curiosity too far. She had wanted to see the aliens that looked like Nari. Now, hidden behind a cargo box, she heard their real plans. My son ran as fast as her legs could carry her. She had to tell her father what she had heard. "Daddy, Daddy." My son burst into Jinho's office, out of breath. "The aliens with wings. They want to attack us." Jinho put down his tablet. "Slow down, my son. What happened?" "I went to see their ship. I know I shouldn't, but I wanted to see aliens like Nari." My son spoke quickly. "I heard them talking. They said our colony is weak, and they want to take it." Jinho's face turned serious. "You're sure about this?" My son nodded hard. The tall one called Dak said it would be a perfect first step into human territory. Jinho picked up his communicator. This was bad. Very bad. But who would believe a child heard secret Lyridi plans? Nari stood in the doorway. She had heard everything. "She's telling the truth. I can smell her fear. It's real." "What can we do?" Jinho asked. "The Colony Council won't believe this without proof." Nari's wings twitched as she thought. "I know Lyridi ways. I can help." Jinho looked surprised. "How?" "Lyridi have patterns. In how they speak, how they think. Things only other Lyridi would know." Nari stepped fully into the room. "I can teach you." For the next hour, Nari explained Lyridi customs and beliefs to Jinho. She told him about their worship of perfection, their secret hand signals, and most importantly, their fear of looking weak. Luridi never admit mistakes, Neri said. To do so is to show weakness. If you make them think you know their plans, they will deny it but change course. Jinho nodded, like saving face. Yes, Neri agreed. Face is everything to Luridi. That night, Jinho called an emergency meeting with the colony council. Some members didn't believe my son's story, but they agreed to be careful with the Luridi. The next morning, Jinho met with High Commander Dak again. We have reconsidered your trade proposals, Jinho said calmly. Dak's wings shifted slightly. Good. You will hand over the defective one. No, Jinho said firmly. But we would like to show you our defense systems, the ones that protect our whole sector. Dak's eyes narrowed. Defense systems. Yes, Jinho continued, using the hand position Neri had taught him. One that secretly meant, I know your hidden thoughts in Luridi culture. Our invisible shield network. Our long-range scanners. Our friends in nearby systems. Dak's wings pulled back, a sign of surprise that Jinho now recognized thanks to Neri. Why would you show us defenses during trade talks? Dak asked. Jinho smiled. To ensure our new friends understand harmony is well protected. No one would succeed in taking a first step into human territory here. Dak's face changed color slightly. Another tell. I don't know what you mean. Of course not, Jinho said, using another Luridi gesture that meant truth between us. Just as I'm sure the High Council wouldn't approve of starting a war over a single Luridi who helps our gardens grow. Dak was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. Perhaps we were hasty in our judgment. The defective. Her name is Neri. Jinho interrupted. Neri. Dak said the name like it tasted bad. May remain here if that is her choice. When Jinho returned home, Neri was waiting anxiously. It worked. Jinho told her. They won't attack. They know we're prepared, even though we really aren't. Neri's wings relaxed. You spoke like a true Luridi. I had a good teacher, Jinho smiled. But Dak wants to meet you before they leave. Fear flashed across Neri's face. Why? I think he's curious. You've done something no defective Luridi has done before. You've changed things. Neri took a deep breath. Will you come with me? Jinho nodded. Every step of the way. The next day, Neri stood beside Jinho in the colony's main meeting hall. Her damaged wings trembled, but she kept her head up. High Commander Dak and the other Luridi officials entered the room. They all stared at Neri with cold eyes. So this is the defective that has caused so much trouble, Dak said. Neri flinched at the word defective, but Jinho put a hand on her shoulder. This is Neri, Jinho said firmly, a valued member of our community. Dak walked in a circle around Neri, looking at her damaged wings. These humans keep you out of pity. You know that, don't you? Neri looked at Jinho, then back at Dak. Not pity. Respect. One of the other Luridi laughed. Respect. For what? You cannot fly. You cannot hunt. You bring shame to all Luridi. I can do other things, Neri said quietly. Then prove it, Dak said suddenly. Take the trial of worth. Jinho stepped forward. What is that? A test all Luridi must pass to be considered adults, Dak explained. It shows our flying skill and senses. No damaged wings could ever complete it. That's not fair, Jinho argued. But Neri touched his arm. I will do it. Jinho looked shocked. Neri, you don't have to prove anything to them. I need to prove it to myself, Neri whispered. Dak smiled coldly. The trial will be tomorrow at sunrise. We will set up the field of testing. After the Luridi left, Jinho took Neri to see Ha-1. They're setting her up to fail, Jinho said angrily. The trial is designed for perfect wings. Ha-1 nodded. But maybe we can help. She showed them a thin metal frame. I've been working on this for Mary. It's an exoframe for her wings. It won't let her fly, but it might give her more control. Nari touched the delicate frame. Will it hurt? No, HFY promised. It works with your wings, not against them. They spent hours fitting the frame to Nari's wings and practicing with it. The metal pieces shined in the light, making her damaged wings look almost beautiful. What exactly is this trial? HFY asked. A field of floating lights, Nari explained. Luridi must fly through them in the right order, following the pattern. It tests flying skill and senses. But you can't fly, Jinho said. Nari looked thoughtful. No, but I can still sense the patterns better than most Luridi. My other senses grew stronger because my wings were weak. That night, Nari couldn't sleep. She stood in the garden room, looking at the stars through the glass roof. Scared? My son's small voice came from the doorway. Nari nodded. Yes. My son came and took her hand. Dad says sometimes brave means doing something even when you're scared. Your father is wise. Nari smiled. You know what? My son said, looking at Nari's wings with the metal frame. Your wings are pretty now. Like art. At sunrise, a crowd gathered at the testing field. The Luridi had set up hundreds of small glowing orbs floating in the air. They pulsed with different colors. Dak stood tall. The trial of worth has 3 parts: pattern recognition, path tracing, and balance control. No Luridi with damaged wings has ever passed. Jinho squeezed Nari's hand. Remember, you don't have to do this. Nari straightened her shoulders. I want to. She stepped onto the field. The first orbs lit up in sequence, showing a complex pattern. Begin, Dak commanded. What happened next amazed everyone. Nari couldn't fly through the orbs as a normal Luridi would. Instead, she moved beneath them, her enhanced senses tracking the subtle vibrations and color changes that even the judges couldn't see clearly. Where a flying Luridi would soar, Nari danced. The exoframe caught the light, making her movements graceful. She touched orbs in perfect sequence, feeling the patterns other Luridi could only see. Halfway through, the exoframe cracked. A piece fell away. Stop, Jinho called. The frame is breaking. But Nari kept going. Her damaged wings moved in ways they never had before, guided by her will and determination alone. The crowd watched in silence as Nari continued the trial of worth. Without the full exoframe, her damaged wings moved awkwardly, but she didn't stop. Sweat dripped from her blue skin as she focused on each orb. Impossible, whispered one of the Luridi officials. Nari reached the final section of the trial. Her breath came in short gasps. The last set of orbs formed the most complex pattern of all. Jinho held his breath. My son clutched her father's hand tightly. With a final burst of energy, Nari touched the last orb. It glowed bright gold, signaling completion. She stood in the center of the field, damaged wings drooping with exhaustion, the remaining pieces of the exoframe hanging loosely. Silence fell over the crowd. Then HFY started clapping. Jinho and my son joined in. Soon, all the humans were applauding loudly. Dak stepped forward, his perfect wings stiff with shock. This is not possible. The trial requires flight. No, Nari said, her voice stronger than it had ever been. The trial requires following the pattern correctly. Nowhere does it say how that must be done. Jinho walked to Nari's side. She completed your test, on her own terms. Dak's face showed confusion, then something like respect. You have challenged our understanding. The oldest Luridi official stepped forward. Her wings were faded with age, but still perfect in form. In all our history, no one has completed the trial without flight. Yet you have. She looked closely at Nari. Perhaps we have been wrong about what makes a Luridi worthy. That evening, Jinho found Nari in the garden room. She was touching the star orchid, which now bloomed with bright purple flowers. The Luridi delegation is leaving tomorrow, Jinho said. Nari nodded. I know. Dak asked if you want to return with them. They've offered to find a place for you in their society. Jinho's voice was calm, but his eyes showed worry. It's your choice, Nari. You're free to go if you want. Nari looked around the garden room, at the plants she had helped save. She thought of my son and Hawan, of the home she had found here. My place is here, she said simply, if you will have me. Jinho smiled with relief. This is your home for as long as you want it. 6 months later, the garden room had expanded into a full greenhouse. Nari worked there every day, growing plants from many worlds. Her wings were still damaged, but the remaining pieces of the exo-frame had been rebuilt into a beautiful decoration that made them look like art. Jinho entered the greenhouse with an official document. The Colony Council approved your request. You're now officially a citizen of Harmony. Nari smiled. Real smiles came easily to her now. Thank you. But that's not all, Jinho added. They also approved your plan to start the Interspecies Adaptation Center. Nari's eyes widened. They did. Yes, you'll be the director, to help other aliens who are different, like you. That afternoon, Nari stood at the landing port as a small ship arrived. The door opened, and a young alien with a twisted leg hobbled out. He looked scared, just as Nari had been once. Welcome to Harmony, Nari said gently. My name is Nari. The young alien kept his eyes down. They said you could help me, that you understand what it's like to be broken. Nari extended her decorated wings. Not broken, different, and difference can be strength. She led him toward the greenhouse. Come, let me tell you a story about a human who saw value where everyone else saw weakness, and how that changed everything. From a window, Jinho watched them go. He remembered the frightened, broken-spirited girl from the auction house. Now he saw a confident teacher helping others find their own path. Not a servant, but a leader. Not broken, but whole in her own unique way. Not weak, but stronger than anyone had ever imagined.